Buss' evolutionary theory of personality. David Buss, one of the founders of the field of evolutionary psychology. His primary research focused on strategies of human mating. Most well known for his studies of mate selection, tactics of mate attraction, infidelity, tactics of mate retention, tactics of mate poaching, and the mating emotions of jealousy, lust, and love. His recent research focuses on the dark side of human nature, including conflict between the sexes, jealousy, stalking, intimate partner violence, and murder, and authored several books for wide audiences, such as The Evolution of Desire Strategies of Human Mating, and textbooks such as Evolutionary Psychology, The New Science of the Mind. He proposed the idea of prototype theory into psychology of personality, which says that traits are used as a categorization of a personality, which means that how strongly a trait defines a certain personality. David Buss was the first and most prominent theorist to take up the cause of developing an evolutionary theory of personality. The essence of Buss' theory of personality revolves around adaptive problems and their solutions or mechanisms, with a fundamental understanding of the nature and nurture of personality. Evolutionary psychology. A new discipline is emerging called evolutionary psychology. Its central aim is to identify psychological mechanisms and behavioral strategies as evolved solution to the adaptive problems our species has faced over millions of years. Personality psychology is dedicated to studying human nature in all of its individually different manifestations. This field is uniquely positioned to contribute and become informed evolutionary psychology. Evolutionary personality of psychology. Evolution change over time occurs through natural and sexual selection. In response to the problems in our environment, we adapt both physically and psychologically to ensure our survival and reproduction. Sexual selection theory describes how evolution has shaped us to provide a mating advantage rather than just survival advantage, and occurs through two distinct pathways: intrasexual competition and intersexual selection. Gene selection theory. The modern explanation behind evolutionary biology occurs through the desire for gene replication. Evolutionary psychology connects evolutionary principle with modern psychology and focuses primarily on psychological adaptations, changes in the way we think in order to improve our survival. Two major evolutionary psychological theories. The sexual strategies theory describes psychologically of human mating strategies, the ways in which women and men differ in those strategies. Error management theory describes the evolution of biases in the way we think about everything. The evolution of human mating include long-term committed mating, example is marriage, short-term mating, brief sexual encounter, extra-pair mating, infidelity, mate poaching, luring another person's mate guarding, effort devoted to keeping a mate. Since men and women historically confronted different adaptive problems in the mating domain, the sexes differ profoundly in evolved psychologically of mating solutions. These psychological sex differences include possessing distinct mate preferences, dissimilar desires for short-term evolution based hypotheses about these mating strategies, and the study of human mating is one of the true success stories of evolutionary psychology. So, what is long-term mating? The physical and psychological traits that men prefer in their romantic partners, and how these preferences differ between short-term romantic relationship and long-term romantic relationship. From an evolutionary perspective, men are expected to possess a set of mate preferences that are adaptively adjusted and calibrated based on whether they are pursuing short-term or long-term mating. Short-term mating desires. Short-term mating is characterized by casual, low-commitment sexual relationship with many partners that do not last a long time. Trivers' theory of parental investment provides a powerful logical basis for predicting sex differentiate adaptations for the pursuit of short-term mating. Men, more than women, are predicted to have evolved a greater desire for casual sex, the same act of sex that causes a woman to invest 9 months in pregnancy obligates the man to little or no investments. Differentiate between the short-term and long-term mating strategies. David Buss, he used the sociosexual orientation inventory for determining that if the person is favor of a long-term serious relationship or a short-term hookup. According to David Buss' research, along with his colleagues, he concluded through the experiment that men who show a woman face preferred a long-term mating relationship, whereas the other category of men shown women's body have an inclination towards keeping a short-term mating strategy. The same experiment was conducted with women, but they revealed no specific feature to determine their mating strategy for David Buss and his team. According to their research, men and women face different challenges in terms of their role and gender, which determines their behavior today. Women face different challenges of pregnancy, bringing up a child effectively enough to ensure his survival, giving them the utmost care, whereas men face challenges of providing resources, gene transfers to the offspring, and surviving through the uncertainty that becoming a parent brings with it. Women's short-term mating strategies. Women's physical attractiveness was rated by self and third-party men and women. Bodily attractiveness predicted women's mating strategy and sexual experiences. Short-term oriented women based overall self-ratings more on bodily traits. What is mate poaching? Mate poaching as behavior intended to attract someone who is already in a romantic relationship. Because of the importance of temporal context in general romantic attraction, it is expected that some mate poaching behavior will be designed to entice only temporarily sexual desertions by the already made partner, culminating in brief affairs or short-term liaisons. Mate retention strategies. Mate retention refers to effort aimed to maintaining access to a mate. Comprise broad menu of behaviors, ranging from act of kindness and resource provisioning to vigilance, manipulation, and violence. Mate retention effort often occurs in the response to a perceived or actual relationship threat. Sex differences and individual differences exist in the use of specific mate retention tactics, which share the common goal of reducing the probability of partner defection or infidelity. So, sexual selection. Sexual selection. The theory of sexual selection dealt with the sexual evolution of characteristics due to mating, rather than survival advantage. Darwin described two component processes through which sexual selection could take place. First is intersexual competition. Members of one sex, often but not always, the males engage in the competitive battles with each other. And intersexual selection. This process involves the preference of members of one sex for members of the opposite sex who possesses certain qualities. So, intersexual selection subsumes the process of intersexual competition and intersexual selection. The mate preference of one sex determine the domains in which the opposite sex will compete. The ways in which one sex compete can influence the evolution of mate preferences. So, intersexual selection, preferential mate choice, while intersexual competition, same-sex rivalry for mate. The theory of sexual selections provides the most powerful theory known to explain the many ways in which men and women differ psychologically and behaviorally. In all sexually reproducing species, adaptations in both sexes, males and females, exist due to survival selection and sexual selection. However, unlike other animals where one sex. Sex differences and mate preferences. In the late 1980s and early 90s, evolutionary psychologists, most notably David Buss, intensively studied sex differences in mate preferences. This laid the foundation of a large research field focusing on mate preferences and attractiveness, which up until today is considered a crucial part of evolutionary psychology. Evolutionary psychologists have argued that when looking for a long-term partner, men will value physical attractiveness and cues to fertility. Women, on the other hand, should value social stability and economic security above traits relating to fertility and physical appearance for long-term relationship. In comparison to men, mate attraction tactics. The premise behind the creation of the mate attraction tactics instrument was the fact that despite its centrality to evolutionary theory, little systematic empirical work has been conducted on the ways in which humans compete for reproductively relevant resources. Tactics of mate attraction assesses self-reported tactics of mate attraction. This instrument is concerned with the things that you did when you first met your current spouse and while you were dating him or her. Mate retention tactics. The first instrument to assist human mate retention tactics or mate retention inventory MIR appeared in 1988. It assessed the performance of 19 tactics ranging from vigilance to violence, subsuming 104 species behaviors. Empirical research using the MRI has yielded a number of important findings. Hypothesized sex differences in mate retention tactics, such as greater use by men of resource provisioning and the greater use by women of appearance enhancement, have been documented among non-married couples as well as newly wed couples.